Let's do it.
Okay.
Isaac's got a hard stop at 10:45, so we got to go rapid fire today.
Hard stop.
Yep. This episode's brought to you by Purell. We're good to go. Cam's had some technical difficulties, but
I'm in.
got him live. A little shaded, but we got him live.
I'm in.
So, B-Rob, before we go shot for shot at Railside, I want to talk about an idea that we had a long time ago that I think would be really good for Railside to implement. You remember when we talked about like going to a large? There's like a couple things that people love to talk about, but nobody really wants to hear. That's your fantasy team. I don't want to hear about your fantasy team and how you were ahead by 5 points and you got screwed at the last minute. Nobody wants to hear about that. Nobody wants to hear about your bad beat in poker, how you had 5-7 offsuit and you got rivered. It doesn't matter. We talked about the third thing is nobody wants to hear about your golf round. The thing is, everybody wants to talk about their golf round, so they got to get it out of their system before they leave the club. We talked about back in the day setting up a little table outside of poker rooms and just having people pull up a chair. Tell us about your bad beat.
Yeah, I think we were talking.
Listen.
I think we were talking about getting paid for that. Actually,
we were.
I don't recall. I don't recall any talk of doing that for free.
So I'm thinking a little tent outside of Railside. We can have a beverage, just sit there. People can, before they can go home and they tell their wife how they were, listen, honey, I was stuck between a 7 and an 8. I didn't know what to do, and talk to her for 20 minutes and watch her fall asleep. You just get it out of your system right at the club.
This is like a therapy session?
Yeah. You pull up, you tell us about your round. B-Rob will listen. I'll probably listen for about a minute, and then I'll start asking passive-aggressive questions. But B-Rob will listen for a good 20 minutes.
Do you guys have like a window with your wives that's so long, like it's a 30-second window, maybe it's a 27-second window? I've got mine down to 24 seconds.
My wife will give me about 60 seconds before I'll be focused, and all of a sudden I'll look up and she'll be gone. And I'm still telling her about my round.
Yeah.
And then she's gone.
Yeah. Yeah. I usually end up talking to my dog. He listens real well.
Do you feel the need that you have to download that much though after a round of golf?
You ask Zichterman, man. He's so sick of hearing about how I shot whatever with 3 triple bogeys. He's done with it. He wants his tent more than anybody.
Well, first of all, at Railside, you don't need a tent. You can just go over to Mark Stein's house, which is number 1. He would be the perfect incubator for this.
I'm in. But maybe my idea is not that good. I don't know. Maybe it's just B-Rob. Maybe I'll just go to B-Rob's condo and download all this before I go home.
Yeah, for
I'll
sure.
Just get it out.
Buy me a drink and we'll talk.
All right. I'm in.
Is that the same canvas you had last time? That is a phenomenal canvas. Let's talk about how good that is.
Oh, this guy traded it for the van straight up.
Wow.
Sure did.
Amazing canvas.
That's good.
So there's not much to talk about on number 1. Probably the easiest hole on the golf course. Any disagreements on that?
Hole number 1 being the easiest?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the easiest.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So what do you do, B-Rob? 1 stripe right down the pipe, second one off Bromley's deck. Take 2 off the first?
Yeah.
I always take 2 off the first because I typically don't warm up with a single shot.
People are judging you.
And I'll typically take something, maybe 230 off the first tee. Nothing. I don't normally go with a driver.
That's a buttery 3-wood for B-Rob.
That wasn't his driver. Okay.
Cam, you try to drive number 1 if it's not.
I didn't say my driver went any further than 230. I just don't take the driver.
Oh, okay. I got it. I thought it was like a bunt driver, just a butter driver out there.
I like the 220, 230 shot. Any more, if you get on it, my miss is high right, and I've hit Brownlee's dog before, I'm sure. So that's never good for anyone. But yeah, easy hole.
Seriously, what do you guys do at a turn when you're a scratch golfer, or what are you, Isaac, a 4?
I can't speak to the scratch golfer. I bounce between a 3 and a 5, I think, the last 2 years.
So how much are you guys thinking about your second shot on the first hole? Or are you just trying to get one? It doesn't matter if it's 70 yards or 110. It's not gonna be 110, but you don't
I think
care.
it comes down to whatever you're comfortable with. I like hitting lower half wedge shots. So, but at the same time, like due to how I play the game now, I'm missing bigger with my longer club. So I'm just going to make sure I'm in the fairway. And even if I'm a $130, that's a little wedge for me. So it's like still an easy shot. It's so short, right?
Yeah.
Hole number 2. They took about 80 trees off that hole. What do you think about hole number 2, Cam? I don't
Looks
know if we're going to
complete.
be able to make it through all 18.
It
Cam
looks
looks like he's about to fall asleep.
Yeah.
Might have to do the front
I'm
nine.
drinking.
I'll revisit it.
Yeah. Number 2 is a hard hole because you can't come up short there because of that false front on that approach shot. So it definitely looks a lot easier and less intimidating with all those trees taken out, I think, on number 2 off the tee shot. But that second shot is tough, especially when they put that pin up front. You miss that thing a little short, especially in the middle of the summer. That thing's rolling back 30 yards back into the fairway.
How much do you think hole number 2, in terms of a resale value of DeMott's parents' house, Wes and Bonnie, how much has the resale value of their house gone down? Because every time I look over, I'm upset on number 2. I'm on the green, I'm putting for 6, and I look over and I see Wes and Bonnie's house, and I'm upset. That has to severely lower the value of their house. No? Let's go to 3.
I like the
What?
changes personally.
You like what?
I like the trees coming down. I like to be able to see from 15 to 16 to 2. I like all that.
I do as well. What do you think about number 3? You think it's a easy par 4 or a hard par 3?
I take it back. I think 3 is the easiest.
Easiest to par?
No, I think it's easier than 1.
Or easiest to score on?
Easiest hole in the course.
Yeah. What, 80 yards shorter?
Yeah. I mean, you can reach it with depends on who you are, but it's a lot shorter hole.
Yeah, there's one player that can consistently reach number 1. That's out there. There's many players that can reach number 3.
Right. Yep, that's the easiest one.
What do you do on 3? You try drive it with a 3-wood?
Oh yeah. Yeah, got to go for it.
What do you got on number 4?
Hey, I played number 4 down on number 5 for the first time.
On purpose?
Yeah, it's a great angle from down there.
It is. Never done it on purpose, but I'm down there a lot.
Yep.
I've been down there accidentally, and it's awesome. But you line up to hit one down onto number 5 fairway?
Well, I did it one time, and it was much easier to reach the green in too, because when you play the traditional way, even if you're long enough, it's just you're still going to have over 200 yards probably, and to hit something high enough over those trees and land it, like Rory McIlroy, it's tough.
You don't get to hit. B-Rob's out. He's done with
it. He can't take it. He can't
blame him. You don't get to hit Isaac's favorite bunt and run shot on number 4, which inevitably ends up being short. He's back.
Yeah. No, it's Mike Holvler's favorite shot, right? He's
hot lover.
Every young buck how to hit the little 70-yard, keep it on the floor, run it up there. Just in case you're a bit skittish and you're like, man, I'm going to blade this half wedge or I'm going to chunk it in front of me. Not saying that anyone on this Zoom ever does that, but so that it's a fun little roller coaster shot. Like, I'm more in for the entertainment of golf because, I don't compete or whatever. Just kind of like, those are fun shots to me, to be like a little bit, I wouldn't say British Open worthy, but like not just flying it at the flag.
Yeah. Some room for creativity.
You got it. Yeah. Style points, right?
That's right.
Or shape the ball.
Might as well get some points along the way.
Bubba golf. Do you consider yourself a player like Bubba Watson, Black? Do you consider yourself a player kind of like Bubba?
I struggle to find similarities between Bubba and myself, but I'd like to think there are.
Yeah. Oh, I was okay. Yeah, I was thinking more just the ADD part.
Oh, that could be. I'm a little skittish.
Yeah.
First time I played golf with Kyle, I've never seen someone swing so hard. like on every day, literally coming out of your shoes like just a raw manhood.
Like especially with a sand wedge.
That was
like
that was back in the day of the hockey hook.
We're 165 out, man. You might be able to get there, but you don't have to hit sand wedge.
Right.
That was the approach 10 years ago. What do I have? Okay. What can I absolutely hammer and maybe get it there? That's the
You've
club I
matured.
want.
You've matured.
It's debatable. What about number 5? From the Blues. We talked about that last week.
We did.
That's brutal.
Hard. It's just brutal.
Yeah. I've hit that fairway in the middle of summer with a 4-iron from the blue tee. I've hit the middle of that fairway and watched it roll into the pond 6-8 times.
Oh, it's brutal. The best part is when you have about a 70-yard shot, if you're playing the whites and it's a red pin and you got to try to stop it. Pro tip from B-Rob, that green looks like it's slanted, but it's not. It's flat. That was the initiation of the club from B-Rob.
Well, yeah, the real information on that green is that it is actually slanted, but it's deceptive because it actually rolls faster up the hill because of the grain of the grass.
So that's the only thing we're going to take from this podcast. That was a nugget right there.
Yep.
Yeah.
D-Rob's got a lot of those nuggets. He's sneaky that way. He's real sneaky.
It's the delivery. He could say something super boring, but it comes off as really perceptive and smooth.
It's because he looks comfy. He's laying on a furry turtle. Is what it looks like.
Are you laying on your back right now? Is the laptop on the ceiling right now? Because it looks like you're just so comfortable.
I am very comfortable. It's some type of an old army chair. It's on a fold up.
I like the potato head in the back.
Yeah.
Is that Buzz Lightyear too?
Yeah, there's all kinds of good stuff going on here. I'm borrowing Jude's room for this.
Good.
Kind enough to allow me to sit.
Yeah, B-Rob's sneaky. He has sneaky, I like to call him sneaky wisdom.
Oh, yeah. It's kind of creepy. It's kind of creepy sometimes when he speaks into your life. Speaks into your golf game.
Yeah.
I like it.
I was sort of going through some of these holes, picking up where we left off last week, talking about the left side of the golf course. And I was trying to think through Railside in these holes, try to figure out which ones were more forgiving toward the right. And I didn't actually make it all through all 18, but the trend was definitely that there is more room to miss on the right side of the course. I know that's true of one. The driving range is right on the left, marked by pretty tight OB stakes, which they've seemingly moved in over the years.
2 might be the only one.
2's tight to the left. You can go OB right over that fence. No good. You can definitely miss a little bit right.
Oh, you're talking only on the tee shots? Mainly on the tee shots?
Primarily on the tee shot.
Yeah.
Certainly on a par 4 where that's going to be where you need the forgiveness if you're going to need it. That's not going to be on the approach. 3, I could go either way. 4, now you're working along the outer perimeter of the golf course. So 4, you actually can't miss right. So there's an example where that doesn't work out. But 5, as you just said, you can't miss right or left, which is what makes it an extremely demanding tee shot. Throw the par 3s out. But now we're on to hole 7. What do you got for us there? You guys just let the big dog eat. Isaac, is that a hole where you pull the driver out on 7? Because typically, I mean, you're long, but I've never really seen your full length because you're so conservative. You actually want to put up a score.
Him and Cam hit the ball very similarly.
No, I mean, but it all comes down to how I'm hitting the driver and if I'm able to square the face up. Like if I'm not squaring the face up, and then I just get so frustrated if I'm going to blow it 60 yards right. I mean, hit a drive terrible and then be like, I hit my 4-iron 220 to 230 off the tee. Like, why am I putting myself in a position? So to be honest with you, with my game the last few years, I've scored the best playing the way you've seen me doing with hybrids and 4-iron. But yeah, I mean, with a decent driver, that should be fair game. Like, it's crazy that I don't hit driver there because it's just confidence in it, right? But that is, I don't know of any hole in the golf course, that is the driver hole.
Yeah.
I remember I was subbing a couple years ago, playing with Isaac, and he's a very good player, but he never hit driver. And And I remember he told me a fantastic story. I wish I knew it better, but it was something to the effect of he wanted a new driver. He hated his, but he always carried it in the bag. And he was like, he didn't do this during our round. He's telling me the story. And he's like, I told myself that when I finally hit this driver well, I'm going to break it. And he did that, right? And is that the
I did
story?
it in the member guest, and I did it on number 4. At the member guest, I had like a $150 in, snapped it over my knee. My dad's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "We're done. Like my relationship with this club, we're done." Like it was. He goes, "You could have sold it." I go, "I would never wish the anxiety and the hatred of the relationship that I've had with this club on anyone else." Mr. Kitchen, you're not going to get this, and I think I actually think it's still in the woods off of 4 Green. I buried it out there. So
I love that. And then you went on and bought something new, right? So are you actually carrying a one wood right now?
I am. I went there with the full intention to Maple Hill fitting I'm going to get something other than a tie list, and then it just measured that they wanted to put me in a tie list again. So
I just love it that you call it a one wood.
yeah. I've never referred to it as the one wood, but I think we started that off the bat on number 1. I think Kyle said one wood, right?
Yeah, one wood.
I don't know if I've said one wood since I was 12. I'm gonna have to wind the tape back.
I'm visualizing a video game from 25 years ago where you would select and then hit it.
Yes. Peter, are you the one that said you can't? It's impossible to hit it too far right on number 7.
No, that's definitely not me. It should be pretty much impossible to hit it too far right.
I thought you said that once because the following week in league, Waltice went backyard, both on the right, said, "Give me a 7," and went and sat in the cart for the rest of the
I love that guy.
Oh, he's great.
I don't know that I've ever seen somebody miss into a backyard on 7.
That I'm pretty sure you went off into this. Tangent about how it's impossible to hit it too far right on 7 when you were playing with Shad and I. And then Wally went backyard, give me a 7.
They have.
There's a flagpole over there in one of those people's yards. I think I've hit the flagpole.
That's
Did
wide
it kick in?
Yeah.
Oh,
I love it.
Hmm.
So 7, we got any other thoughts on 7?
Yeah, I mean, what do you guys typically do? I mean, let's say you get out 230, who's laying up and who's going for it? That is not an easy shot to get all the way to the green, and all the danger is right up around the green, and it narrows significantly. So who's trying to light up something, and who's just playing to 100 yards?
Was 230 from the Blues?
That's a bomb from
That's a
Blues.
bomb.
Yeah, that's a bomb.
That's definitely not.
Bob, have you been playing the whites?
That's not.
Busted.
That's not me. But for you, a man of your stature.
Mm-hmm.
One thing we haven't talked about is pin placement and how much that changes, especially in July at Railside when they're blazing fast. When you get a blue pin on 7, you can hammer it as far as you want because there's no trouble back by that blue pin. It's all wide. It's open to the right. It's open to the left. If you get a red pin and you're deep, you're screwed trying to chip back at that out of the rough.
I think that green's pretty well, decently protected, based on being a par 5. You do have to earn it a little bit around that green. The one thing I will tell you is I've hit several approaches into that one, and left sneaks up on you, where it cuts the corner. So if you hit something low left, the trees eat it. You know what I mean? So I'll play it out to the right, and if it doesn't turn over, that is a bare lie. The grass is very bare over there if you're, just off that green around the bunker. And so that does make that shot a little hard. Even though there's nothing over there or, that and you have a clear shot, there's not a whole lot of grass, and it's a goofy lie.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
B-Rob probably plays it fall rules the entire year, plays the whites, fluffs it. He's not a purist. Just kidding, B-Rob. We got on 8, the only easy par 3. Well, 8 and 16. After I moved that tree.
Tim Newhouse was he said something to me on my backswing last time I played that hole. I didn't appreciate that, but
from his
Did
back.
he ask you to go fishing in his backyard? Because he's having some drain issues. There is a lot of water in that backyard.
Yeah, I don't know. I stared him down.
I mean, the toughest pin on 8 is back left for sure.
Uh-huh.
You go long, you have a very difficult time getting that up and down from there. I am at least, but other than that, we'll call it a fairly pedestrian hole.
Isaac, I got a question for you. You got a pin that's back right. It's we're gonna call that 171. What are you pulling there? Hold on. Let me create a little scenario. You got a little wind into you. Gentle 9 mile per hour wind.
Gentle, 9.
7-iron all day for Isaac.
171. Well, here's the thing. Distance-wise, it's an easy 7-iron, but
Yeah.
my miss is I spin out and I go high right. I get too fast.
Ah.
So I'm really worried about the ball going up.
Mhm.
I will, of anyone, I use plenty of club and hit 3/4 shots. So I could see that being a little cut with a 6 in the back of my.
Now, do you choke down on that club too a little bit when you do that with that 6? Yeah. Smart guy right there. Mm-hmm.
It's just because, I literally, I can hit the ball so high.
Yeah.
And not well, right? Like, not the right highness. Like, it's kind of glancing below things. So it's almost just maintaining my ability to trap it.
Yeah. See, now this is where we separate the men from the boys. This is where we find out who the posers are, because this guy just proved to everybody out there he's a player. See, I'm going to guess that, Blackport probably would have been like,
If I just step on a wedge and blade it, I could blade it and get it there. And then I can tell you I hit a wedge.
That's right.
Give Black
And
the same question before you finish your comment. I want you to give him the question.
what are you talking to me?
Yeah, give him the same question you just gave Isaac, and let's see how he answers it.
Okay.
And then compare the two.
Okay, all right. Go ahead, Port.
I'm hitting a 7-iron all day, leaving it short on accident, and telling you it was a wedge.
Okay.
On the way
I
back
like
to the
that.
cart.
I'm telling you it's a wedge.
I have a question though. Port, is Tana, is she impressed when you tell her that it was a wedge? Or is she going like, is she zoned
Where's
out?
the
Sorry
record
about
button? Where's
He's
the
already
record
walked
button? I'm not allowed to talk about golf at home.
Yeah. Okay.
That's why I got to get it out at the tent.
Yeah. What would you hit in that scenario?
Well, I would do probably something very similar to you. I'm very I would be more prone to choke a 6. Now, I probably would just you talked about maybe hitting a little bit of a cut in there. I would probably say, okay, I'm just going to aim at the middle of the green, take that 6, choke it a little bit, 3/4 it.
The cut part is aggressive. If I'm feeling good, I might try that. But if it's at the end of the day, for anyone that's a single digit or whatever, you put that ball in the middle of the green 18 times and you 2-putt your way something to a 72, you're going to shoot under your cap, right? That's the one thing you got to remember. So yeah, the cut would be aggressive. That's like Kyle yelling at me during a scramble to make sure I can get it close and quit being conservative or something like that. Not that he would do that, hitting his wedge from 175. But.
Yeah, and that's the problem when you do play in a scramble format and you're the last guy to go. They expect things for you that you just shouldn't be doing. It really hurts your golf game.
Yeah, I just really haven't done that much yoga to get my body to do the things that Kyle's asked me to do as the last person to scramble.
Yeah.
We need to get this foursome in a scramble.
Mm-hmm.
That would be money. We had something lined up with you two, with Isaac and Cam, that one in Lansing that got canceled. That would have been memorable.
Yeah.
What else we got? Number 9, the start of the gauntlet.
Ooh.
What I call the gauntlet, 9, 10, 11, 12.
Tricky hole number 9. I'm going to guess that B-Rob probably hits a nice, smooth little 4-iron down there with a baby draw starting at that tree. Am I right, B-Rob?
What tee box?
Nice.
They're the same.
No, I tend to go right over that bunker.
Oh,
Really?
Yeah,
That's scramble mode, B-Rob. That's not own ball, B-Rob.
That's what I do.
Look at it.
How is it you can hit so many good shots on 9 off the tee and not like any of your second shots? None of them are good.
Yeah, that
Maybe that was just me.
well, you're challenged by you can hit a good tee shot there, and then the ball's falling away from you, right? Which is a tough shot for anyone to stay down and through on your second shot. But yeah, that one is. Yeah, that one is. There's a lot of people that consistently play it over that bunker, and that's awesome. I don't know. I'm guarding against putting it in. I don't. What's off of number 9 there? Is that a dentist office or whatever?
Chiropractic office. Something.
Chiropractic office. Yeah, I've that little, and then I don't know how many times you guys have hit that cart path there.
Yeah.
Not good. Doesn't work out well if you hit that cart path.
No, it puts a pretty good mark on your ball.
Yeah, the ball makes a funny sound on the second shot.
Yeah.
Pin placement, same thing. Right's dead, or red's dead, and then I like the back pin there because you get the gigantic part of the green.
Yeah.
What about number 10? Hardest hole on the golf course to par, other than maybe 12?
Of note, the 9 green is the largest on the course, if I'm not mistaken.
That's a big green.
It's the most options.
That's a big green.
I think it's challenging to read too in the front part of it.
Yeah, that front pin on that green is that's given me some real trouble.
Maybe this is an obvious answer that I just don't know, but how many different pin placements are there on every green? I feel like there's basically 3 or 4. There's not, I mean, they don't mix them up. They just go back to the same ones, right?
Oh, I think you got probably 6.
But yeah, I'd say at least 6.
You probably got 6.
On every green?
Yeah.
All 18?
Yeah. I would think so. I could be wrong. We'd have to ask Mr. Coates about that, but I would think so.
All right, question for you here before we make the turn. Toughest par 4 birdie on the course?
Front 9 or all 18?
All 18. Toughest, or let's just stick to the front 9 then, I guess. Toughest birdie on the front from a par 4. So throw out
9 all day.
9
for you.
Yeah, 9 or 5. Mm-hmm.
Is there anything have you birdied every hole in the front 9? At least once?
Mm-hmm.
Or
Any of you guys? All of you?
I've bogeyed all the holes.
Yeah.
Certainly.
Pretty sure I bogeyed them all.
I never birdie 9. I've birdied it once, but I never.
Yeah.
9 and 2. 2 is pretty much a guaranteed 5.
So for you, 9 is a tougher birdie than 2.
I think so.
Yeah.
There's just so many. 2, there's so many early on in the year. There's more pin placements that I feel like are easy to get at to make a putt.
B-Rob, I'm going to go straight to how I see. I'm a field player and how I see the greens. And I see 2 green a heck of a lot better than I see 9 green. There's 3 or 4 greens out there that I just don't see it. And I'm lost. So the confidence level, like if walking off either 2 or 9 with a birdie, you feel fantastic. The one that I feel like I consistently, or not consistently, the one that I think is more feasible from actually rolling your rock would be number 2.
Yeah.
What about you, B-Rob?
Toughest birdie on the front. I mean, again, toughest par 4 birdie for me. That'd be 2. Yeah, I've lost so many tee shots.
Yeah, it doesn't set up for the draw.
No, it doesn't set up. I've made too many donations over the fence. And then, I mean, so again, that's one of the more distinct greens in terms of zones. Mm-hmm. So you have no birdie shot unless you find the right zone, where the pin is at. So you got to hit a very precise approach shot to even have an opportunity, which percentages, I just haven't had many opportunities.
I got a story for number 2 for you.
Yes.
And Ryan Woltheis was witness to this. I did eagle that hole.
2?
Right.
Number 2.
Really?
Yeah, 154 with an 8-iron.
Where was the pin?
Pin 1,
right?
middle right.
Wow.
Yeah, it's the best golf story I ever have. Yeah.
Would you hit 3-wood or driver off the tee from the blue?
I always hit 3-wood on number 2.
Yeah. And so you got the 154 with the 3-wood.
Yeah.
That's a nice poke. And would you hit it in? 8-iron?
8-iron. Well, 8-iron. 1 hop, stop. I could barely see it, but I saw Woltheis up by the green. They were coming back from I don't know what some event they were playing in. Obviously, it was a shotgun thing, and they were driving back over the bridge there, and they had stopped to let us come up, and I hit it, and I said to the guys, I'm like, where did that go? But right as I was saying that, I hear, whoa, they started screaming and whatnot. Anyway, just thought I'd throw in a quick story. That was fun for me.
I love it.
It's pretty solid.
Yeah, I made a 2 on number 2 is decent, I guess.
It's
What else?
luck. It's luck.
You're all better than me. You all make more birdies than me. So here's the question.
That's not true.
Talk me through this course. How do you score? Is this a situation where you're like, all right, some golf courses, good players are like, I'm going for every par 5. I'm trying to eat those up. Again, I'm talking about good players, and I'm trying to make birdies. Railside, whole, I don't know how much that lends itself here. Is this a course where you got to go get it on the par 4s? How are you trying to post a real number here?
Isaac.
Let's define the difference between like a really like good and really good. Okay. So I'm going to mention a really good buddy of mine, Brad Ward, and the way he describes Railside is, pretty darn straightforward for those who have misses, plus and minus much narrower than maybe most people, right? If you miss 10 to 15 yards with your miss, you can play around Railside and be okay. You know what I mean? If you're missing it bigger, then you need to be concerned that I miss it bigger. So for me, the best way is, can I hit 18 greens? And if that means that I'm not hitting driver, if it means that I literally have the distance to get to par 5s with irons in my hands, and I don't do that, and instead I hit 60-yard wedges, I really like hitting 60-yard wedges. I like those little feel shots. Mm-hmm. So and I catch flack from everyone I play. I'm like, why aren't you hitting your driver or whatever like that? But I will tell you, Dave Stabai will tell you the best rounds you've seen me play out there. And the only time in the last few years I've shot under par out there was doing the iron thing and just giving myself an opportunity to play on the greens and then see the line.
Didn't you shoot a 67 without hitting a driver?
Yeah, that was a 3.
What's that?
67, I think it was 3 years ago. Yeah.
That's your best?
There, yeah.
And you never touched a driver?
No.
I hit 4
iron off the tee of number 7.
That's good info. So Isaac's working his way around the course like Zach Johnson at the Masters.
It's so short. Now, granted, that's white tees though too. All right, so that's a different game. But
Isaac, going to about like, don't you think there's a lot of players that struggle with the idea? You just said a lot of people were giving you flack maybe for why aren't you hitting your driver and whatnot. The importance of putting the ball in play, and I didn't say hitting fairways necessarily because I think that is overrated, but keeping the ball in play off the tee is not overrated at all. It is extremely important. If you can't keep it in play off the tee, kiss it goodbye.
And then Jeff, use your distance. Like I can still get it out there wherever I need to go. Like if the course is 7,000 yards, we're talking about a completely different scenario, right?
Yeah, for sure.
But I mean, like if I'm 170 out, that's not target practice, whatever, for my level of talent to go after it. But like I'm not hitting a 4-iron though. You know what I mean? So my distance helps, or your distance, or whoever that helps in different areas other than just driver.
Yeah.
Isaac, you got a hard stop in like 3 minutes. Just FYI.
I do. Kyle,
so
ask you a question.
Yeah.
Your best round out there, whatever it is, like what did you do? How'd you go through it?
I played with B-Rob actually. My best round was a 75. And for me, there's a lot of holes out there you can birdie, but there's a lot of holes for me that you can accidentally double bogey. There's a lot of those par 3s that I can double bogey really easily. Number 12, obviously. Number 6. So for me, it's just avoiding the blow-ups. You could, I think there's a lot of rounds where you could have 14 pars at Railside, and then you just need to make sure those other 4 scores are not double bogeys. If they're just bogeys, every once in a while a birdie, you can keep it in the mid-70s. I don't do that. I shoot around 78 to 81, 82. But when I'm scoring well, it's avoiding it's not a ton of birdies. It's avoiding the big scores.
That's huge.
I think the day after I had a really good round. I think I shot 84 or 83 the next day. Like it will, if you get off course, it does have areas where it will bite you.
Yeah. And there's a lot of I think the tricky thing about Railside too, for most people play Railside as a scramble. Railside is awesome at hosting events, and tons of people come there and they play it as a scramble. So when then they go to play their own ball, they've played 10 scramble events there, and they're used to being like, oh, I can just hammer one over the bunker here. And they don't remember that, if you don't hit that shot, you got to follow it up and, play your own ball. It's a totally different round as a scramble there. So that took a little while for me to realize that you don't have to try and drive the green. You don't have to try and hit those long shots every time.
Very honest of you.
B-Rob.
Yep.
What you got on the back nine? Work us through number 10.
All right, starting with 10, I think 10 is the on the back. Maybe the toughest birdie on the back of a par 4. Okay, forcing you to have a tough approach with a longer club in hand. I mean, again, so let's just say you're from the blue. Best case scenario, you've got 150 in. Best case scenario. So that's a tough hole. That gives some people some nightmares. Myself, not that big of a deal. Number 11. Number 11. That's a situation for me right there. I've made too many donations to the Kent Trail. Very penal. In fact, I'd like to see them turn the left side of 11 into red stakes. Keep the pace of play moving.
On that note, there should be red stakes everywhere. Just saying.
Yeah.
Pace of play, yeah. Or at least build a wall over there, maybe. Something like that.
Out of bounds is the worst thing in golf. It should not be. Stroke and distance, as if this game isn't hard enough? No. Drop the ball, go up, drop it where you're at. Sorry, B-Rob, keep going.
No, yeah, it's I found that 11. A little inside tip for those to play it. The easiest way to play 11 is to be short off the tee. And then what happens there is that it allows you to lay up your second shot directly into the turn. Okay? What happens is if you go long off the tee, if you're mid-range off the tee, if you're long off the tee, you're obviously turning and you're going toward the green. That describes the three of you. If you're mid-range off the tee like me, it puts you in a very difficult position because to go at the green is a hard shot for me, and then the layup is no picnic. So I'd be much better off to hit 200 yards off the tee and then to hit a full-length shot just to my distance to the turn. That kind of describes 11. 12.
That's the hardest tee shot on the golf course to me. That one is completely in my head.
Yeah, I know, which there's no reason for it to be, Isaac. Because
right here. It's right there.
I like the way you play 11. You typically just take your 4-iron. It's going to get short of the junk, and then they've taken down a couple trees in there, and then you can just go straight up with whatever, a 5 or 6-iron right over those trees at the green for you. You get away with that. Just
you're talking about 11.
I would 11. 12 is a very different hole from the blue than it is from the white. Certainly going to be one of the hardest par 3s around, just because the angle of attack.
See you, buddy.
Love you guys. Thank you. Take care.
Yeah, Isaac.
The angle that ball is landing on 12, the front pin is. In fact, for the front pin on 12, you're better off being in the hill and chipping it close than landing it on the green and having to putt back toward the front.
Would you rather have a blue pin or a red pin on 12 if you had your choice?
Oh, blue all day.
Yeah, blue.
I love the blue pin.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's.
Well, again, just the way that ball is coming in, it's not going to stop on the front of the green if you fly it onto the green. I mean, unless you have a 4-iron that can come down with butterfly feet. I mean, you're better off being in the front of that hill, right?
I just thought of something that would be absolutely unfair and just amazing. Can you imagine if instead of rough in front of that green, that was all fairway?
That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would
Not
be.
awesome.
No, it'd be Bottleneck City.
Yes.
Yeah,
And there would be knee surgery places opening up left and right in Byron Center
Yeah.
because you're not taking a cart over there.
No.
That is
No.
brutal.
that's a great.
But a fun hill to sled down in the winter, though.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm in for that.
Yeah,
So
the
13.
three. That's one where you can get off 12. You can somehow put a 3 on your card. You are happy and you're moving.
Yeah.
Par 4 is one where you should be looking for birdie. Excuse me, on 13, you should be looking for birdie there.
I think that's the second easiest, third easiest to par. 13.
I would agree with that. Although I would also put a caveat on it.
Red
That
pin.
is probably the most challenging green
It's so sloped.
course
It's
because
so
of the,
sloped back to front.
yeah, very Donald Ross like.
Is there a single hole that you'd rather there be a red pin than a blue pin? I think every single hole, it's better if it's blue. Other than maybe 8.
I think I prefer the red on 3. I think that's an easier birdie if it's a front pin than a back pin on 3.
Yeah.
I think it is, but for me, do you go for the green if it's a blue pin on 3?
No, if it's back left, I would. If it's back, because I can miss long left,
Oh, I got you.
and then you have an angle into that. Yeah, but I got to think twice, depending on how I'm swinging that day. But yeah, the front red pin on 13 in midsummer is a disaster.
It's over.
Top of the hole.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would even say front pin on 17. I think I'd rather have that than back pin on 17.
Yeah. Yeah, I
Because
agree.
there's not a false front there.
Yep.
No.
I agree. Working away around the course there onto 14, very straightforward hole. Interesting tee boxes there. They never put those blues. Very rarely do they put the blues all the way back. Completely changes that hole. That's a good golf hole, well designed. I like 14 along the
That's
road.
what happened. You remember that, B-Rob? That was the round I was talking about where you and I both hit balls that we didn't even watch land. We just went back. We just started walking because we piped them. We thought we did. And I didn't even carry the gigglies on 14 because they had them all the way back.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah, I do.
That was insane.
Brutal. They never do that. But tough hole. I wouldn't win back like that. But as long as you can get over, that's very powerful hole. You shouldn't get yourself into trouble. You just got to get off the tee. 15 for me, I've always felt that 11 and 15 are holes for good players. They give a guy like me, a mediocre player, a real nightmare. I mean,
Because of the second shot?
Because of the second shot. I mean, Caminetti, you'll eat that up. Port, you'll eat that up because you're reliable with that long, a 3-wood in or a long hybrid in. But I hate the layup on 15. It's just no picnic. So I'm always in a position where I feel like I have to go for it. And it's not my strength or my game. And so I just end up losing too many balls.
Isn't it like, you hit a drive out there, you're going to have what, 225 to 240, but the carry is, there's a ton of spots to miss at like 190, 180, aren't there? So
it suits different people's eye, and that's a good example. Like for you, you're just like, hey, there's options. This is not an issue. For me, I just, I find a hard time to put a good swing on that second shot.
16 is later in the year is brutal when they put that red pin. I've seen so many people putt from behind that red pin, putt down towards it, and it's gone down the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Easy.
Well, it's like any par 3 out here. You're looking for pars most of the time. A par is a good score. If you happen to put a 2 on your card on any par 3, good for you. But if you find yourself hunting for a 2 on a par 3, you're good chance you're going to bring a 4 right into play.
What do you do on 17, Cam? You try to drive it?
Absolutely. Why not? You pull out the big dog and let it rip.
You ever put it on 18 tee box? Have to try to flop one?
I think I have. Yeah, and then you got to flop it over those pines.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that's the cool thing about 17 is that it's you can let it rip because it's just wide open. I've also pulled it way left there too. No problem. No problem.
That's actually the miss.
It
You
is.
can hammer one to the left, and then you got a wide open shot to the green.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that's that one you can miss about anywhere.
Though I would say for me, I put 17 in a category where I have rarely made a 3 on that hole. In fact, I haven't seen that many 3. I feel like maybe out of any of the holes on the course, that one is expected to go under par more than any other, and it doesn't actually deliver that.
I feel like I've seen a lot of birdies, or at least a lot of legitimate birdie putts that get tapped in for par on 17.
Lots of that.
Yeah. I don't know what it is about 18, but the biggest drives that you see in the round typically happen on 18. I don't know if you'd think it would be 7, but most of the time when somebody hammers a drive, it's on 18. Is that because they're frustrated? They're letting it rip?
Yeah. They're just done with the round. Let's just let it go. Let out some anger.
That's a sneaky second shot, by the way, on 18 for the non-scratchers.
What's sneaky about 18? B-Rob, have you been behind those trees plenty of times, that grove of trees? If you overdraw, play your overdraw.
Yeah, it's dead. You're dead. You got it. If you're better off being short.
Yeah.
If you have a chance. If you're too long there and you're in those trees, you're done.
Yeah. Port, what do you do there? You just let a driver just wail away?
I usually just hit 3-wood because if you hit it well, you got 125, 130. And if I hit a driver and get to 110, it doesn't change much for me.
Yeah.
Plus my driver gets wayward.
Yeah. One thing we did forget to mention, guys, is what
we all know there's not a 30-yard gap between your 3-wood and your driver. That was
15, 110 to 125.
That was a little generous.
Oh, yeah.
I think they're about the same.
Interesting.
I really do. I think they're about the same.
Okay, but we did forget one really important thing. Port, I'd like to hear what you do here. What's your choice of drink or food at the turn?
When I'm playing golf, I don't usually do a ton of either of that. I'm usually after the round.
Got it.
I like to go in and get, what is it? It's been a while since I've ordered there. I used to get the club sandwich. Now I'm vegan. So that ain't happening. But I'm not a huge fan of food and drink while I'm golfing, to be honest. Afterwards. I like a nice draft Oberon afterwards out on the deck.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why have you gone vegan?
Yeah, that's an interesting topic. We could go.
Why or when? What'd you say, B-Rob?
Both.
I didn't know this.
Both.
Why? So when my dad passed away, basically, I learned more about that, and I did some research on. I wanted a cardiologist, a specialist that I could talk to and just basically tell him everything. And so I found this guy. His name's Dr. McNamara. He's awesome. And I basically said, hey, I want to live and I want to tell you everything that I do. And I want you to make sure that I don't die. And so after I meet with him once a year, and after about 5 years, he was like, hey, I've never really gotten into this because I've never really seen it make a huge difference. From a dietary standpoint, he's never really gotten into, you got to do this, this, and this. He knew it mattered, but he ended up in his own personal life taking out just red meat specifically. And he saw that it had a huge, huge impact on bringing his LDL number down. So the LDL number is one of the primary things that people monitor when it comes to the heart. So he started monitoring mine, and he explained, in the Western world, we want it to be X. Worldwide, it's a little bit lower, but because Americans have a different diet, in a different lifestyle, it's a little bit higher than that, but you actually want to be at X. So the biggest thing that he's seen that's had an impact on that is going completely plant-based. So there's vegetarian and then there's vegan. And he said, I don't really, for me, it's not about animal rights. It's not about X, Y, or Z. It's literally, it's the thing that I've seen have the biggest impact on your LDL numbers. So I want you to watch this documentary and then I want you to try it out yourself. My role as your cardiologist is to tell you what's going to work. I've seen this work dramatically for a lot of my patients. So check it out. So Ton and I started doing it about 6 or 7 months ago. When I say I'm vegan, I'm not vegan. I'm more vegetarian because we still have cheese, we still have dairy, but we've cut out meat completely. And
Biggest thing that you
yeah,
feel from it?
for me, I generally feel pretty good. I usually have energy. I usually feel pretty good overall throughout the day. I feel like I can be active and so I don't feel much difference. I've noticed I started doing Orange Theory and I do it with a couple of buddies where it gets pretty competitive. And we've done some challenges where we try to run a mile as fast as we can, or we try to run for 12 minutes and see if we can get 2 miles in, that type of stuff. I've actually seen it in that. My endurance has been dramatically different after going plant-based.
Wow.
So
Are you
there's a
ever,
lot of, what's up?
are you ever concerned about that you won't get enough protein? That's always kind of the biggest
Yeah.
argument
Tons of
against.
people say that. I've said that.
Yeah.
I've, I have not been worried about it. The only thing I supplement
Because he's so huge to begin with.
is a
Yeah.
multivitamin, is a multivitamin. And then I'll have a protein shake as well, a
Oh,
couple times a week, but no, I have not worried about that. I haven't noticed any difference in that. So one thing for me that was very entertaining is the documentary that he had me watch was called The Game Changers. It's done by an MMA guy. Schwarzenegger is actually one of the producers, I think. It's called The Game Changers. It's on Netflix. Um, it's a really interesting documentary, and that's the one that kind of got my wheels spinning. So right after that came out, the Joe Rogan had a guy on that just him and Joe Rogan completely just shredded the documentary, and um, basically just disqualified a lot of the things that were in the documentary. And one of the things I like about Joe Rogan is he's pretty open-minded and he can disagree with somebody but have a healthy educational conversation about it. So he said, hey, I know the guy that did this documentary because Joe's involved in MMA. So he knew the guy. I think his name's James Wilkes. And he offered to have him on. So he had that guy on, and it was Joe Rogan, that nutrition specialist. I forget Chris Kessler, I forget his name. And then James Wilkes. And so after they shredded the documentary, they had him on to defend himself against two guys that are pretty knowledgeable and that just shredded something that took you 7 years to make on the number one podcast in the nation. Your documentary just got shredded. So they had him on to kind of defend himself and defend or kind of give counterpoints to the stuff that they said. And it was fascinating. That I would recommend.
mm,
I don't know if you have any time on your hands right now, but I would recommend in this order: watch the Game Changers,
okay.
then watch the Joe Rogan podcast. I can send you the number, but it's the Joe Rogan podcast where he kind of debunks the Game Changer. And
Yeah.
then immediately after that, there's another podcast where he brings on James Wilkes and they dive into it. You're not going to agree with everything. Both of the podcasts are like 2.5 hours long. Um, but I would recommend watching the YouTube version of them, unless you're running or something, so you can see the body language and the facial expressions of everybody. It's very interesting. My goal is to get the LDL number down. I'll go back in 6 months and check it out. But overall, I would say that I felt better. I don't know if that's like a placebo effect where I'm just, I don't know if that's the right terminology, but mentally I feel like I should feel better because I'm being more intentional about what I'm eating. But I know for a fact that I felt it when we were doing those endurance challenges.
Did
I
you
was
lose
not,
weight?
I didn't really lose a lot of weight.
Mm.
My weight is different. Then, there's a lot of different versions of
Yeah.
195.
Yeah.
I definitely, my body has changed. I've not lost a lot of weight. I've lost about, 5 to 8 pounds.
Mhm.
But I definitely feel stronger, and I feel,
Hmm.
I feel like I have more endurance and stamina, specifically on like, high intensity type stuff, like running a fast mile.
Mhm.
Can vegan have alcohol or sugar?
Yeah. No animal products.
But
Just
that's
vegan.
it. No animal products.
Yep.
Not
Okay.
even
I'm
fish?
not an expert, but that's the way I understand it.
Can't
The
even
main difference
fish?
between vegan and vegetarian is no fish,
Oh,
no animal products at all. So,
right.
um, and that people could be laughing at me right now. Hopefully, one of our 7 viewers doesn't know more about this than me. There, I think the big difference between vegetarian and vegan is they're both of them are the majority of it's plant based, but the difference is they cut out dairy products, because they come from animals.
Hmm. Hmm. Very cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, B-Rob, you're a healthy eater too. We'll
Uh,
have to get into that next time too. But
yeah, I got my vices, sugar, sweets,
mm,
and bread. But I think my body thrives on wheat. Um, I do well on wheat. I don't find myself gaining any weight there.
hmm
Um, but the sugar, it's not good.
no, no.
I've really enjoyed this. I don't know how much of this is for public consumption. I think we can chop up a couple funny clips, but I'm not really doing this for public consumption. I just enjoy the interaction in general. So
It's great. I
maybe
love
next time we can, I don't know, maybe we can go best sitcoms of the 90s, best
it. I
movies
was
of
just
the
gonna,
90s.
yeah, I was just gonna say we could maybe talk about Dumb and Dumber,
I'm
best
in.
lines.
I'm
Uh,
in.
it is the best movie of all time. Well, that and Hoosiers, but
That
anyway.
Goodwill Hunting.